All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Cybertron Basic Class Undermine, or I guess Scout Class, I should say. I'm pretty sure this is when they transitioned over to calling them Scout Class figures. But yeah, this is a pretty cool figure from the Cybertron toy line. Now, if you're unfamiliar with some of the central gimmicks of the Cybertron toy line, basically, all of the different Transformers from that series were kind of from different like planets, different like colony worlds, and Undermine here is obviously part of the Beast planet, turning into a pretty nice little Spinosaurus here. And then they all also had a Cyber Planet key gimmick, so they came with the Cyber Planet key from their corresponding planet here. Obviously, this one is being the Beast planet, and then they had some sort of gimmick that you could use with them. So for this one, in this mode, I mean, it does the same thing in both modes, but basically you just plug it into the back of the spine here and then stick out this additional knife. This is really better in robot mode because it's kind of like awkwardly behind his head in Spinosaurus mode. So like, I don't know how he's actually stabbing you with that. If he's like jumping upside down to impale you, I don't know. And it kind of also whacks him on the back of the neck too, which does not seem like it would be overly pleasant. But it's a pretty neat gimmick, pretty unobtrusive, all things considered, with one caveat, I suppose. But yeah, no, pretty nice little Spinosaurus mode here in terms of articulation. The head can just hinge up and down. It doesn't get any side to side really, like a tiny bit of wiggle, just because it's attached via two ball joints on either side. So there's like a little bit of give, but not a ton. The mouth can open and close like that. The little dino arms here can hinge up and down. The actual dino legs end up being the robot mode legs, so they're pretty articulated. They can swivel around right here and then rotate out to the side like that. There's a hinge joint here for the knee, and then a hinge joint here for the other knee, and then a hinge joint at the foot as well, which doesn't get like a tremendous amount of range. It can't get quite as like, digitogrid as you'd want it to be. You'd want it to be something like that, but then if you bring the leg down, I don't know, I think it looks better if the thigh is actually up against this piece, so that's how I tend to do it. And then the tail here has a hinge right here, and then a hinge right here at the mace thing at the end as well. So pretty decent articulation, especially for a little figure from this year. He's obviously a Decepticon here. They weren't doing like Predacons and Maximals. It was just, Autobots and Decepticons also from the Jungle Planet. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe in his robot mode, just because what's the point of showing him off with a car, really? Here he is for a modern Cybertron figure. Here he is with the Velocitron Speedia 500 Override. And then for a modern Spinosaurus, here he is with Spindle from Legacy of, I can't remember what subline technically Spindle was under, but that's what he looks like with another Spinosaurus, albeit a skeletal one, but whatever. In terms of transformation, now you don't have to do this necessarily, but the tail does end up becoming a weapon in robot mode, and it ends up storing in the same place, so you could just leave it on, but you can take the tail off for now. Kind of bring down the legs and straight them out like this, and then bring down this whole section that they're on up like that, and then take the section that the tail was on and fold it down onto the back just like that. Take the dinosaur mode head. Sometimes it's easier to open it up to split it in half like that and bring that out to the side, and then take the whole section that these are on and then rotate that up till it kind of clips into place like that, and then bring the little dinosaur mode arms back down, and there we have Undermine in his robot mode. And yeah, he's got a neat little vibe here. Now, I don't mind it personally, but I could see some people having an issue with like the way that his head is, just being like pretty much just the spine of the Spinosaurus, though. I like the little, robot mode head design, but obviously it does not have any articulation. So this was my one caveat in terms of like, the Cyberplanet gimmick key not really being, Cyberplanet key gimmick not being unobtrusive in robot mode, because I guess technically it does mean that he doesn't have any head articulation, but either way, I don't really mind the design of it. In terms of articulation, like I said, head's got nothing. I don't know if you want to count these as like extra little arms or just part of the chest design, but they can still hinge up and down, so you can still give him little vestigial arms if you want. The shoulders here are on ball joints. They can rotate all the way around and go out to the side. It does also have that transformation joint, so if you want to bring it up even more, you can do that. No bicep rotation or anything. The dinosaur mode like head just becomes his hands, and pretty much just his forearms, honestly, because like they're kind of just like at the elbow. They attach like that, so they can get about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, and then obviously the mouth can still open and close. Nothing at the waist. The hips are still on universal joints, so they can swing forward and back and out to the side. No thigh swivel, unfortunately, and then all the same hinges for the knees and ankles there. So yeah, decent. I will say the one joint on him that's kind of loosened up over time is the ankles or one of the knee joints. So he does tend to fall over a little bit, but it's not too bad. And then in terms of the weapon, obviously it can still do whatever you want it to. He can hold it. He's got two little slots here on either of his hands that you can just plug this into, just like that, and give him like a little mace weapon. And I think that that's a pretty neat vibe there. And then obviously if you want to store it, you can just plug it back in and basically give him a tail in robot mode too. And that I think works well enough for me. And then obviously we can still do the Cyberplanet key gimmick. I think it works better in this mode where he's got like a head spike rather than like in the middle of his back. So yeah, that's a pretty cool little gimmick there. I think that that works well on him. He's not really one of the ones that you can get it to like activate without using the Cyberplanet key, just because like there's no good way to grab the like knife blade there, and then it's kind of like pretty well stuck in there with the mechanism. So you do really need the Cyberplanet key to actually activate it, or at least to stick something in to press the button. So for whatever that's worth. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Sideswipe, just so you can see how he stacks up with an average size Modern Deluxe. Here he is again with Velocitron Override. And here he is again, just for posterity's sake, with Spindle. Not that they really have much business being with each other, but, they kind of turn into the same beast, so works well enough. But yeah, no, I've always really liked this figure. This is one that I've actually had since I was a kid. This is, actually my copy that I've had since I was young, which is nice. I didn't have to ever replace it. The one thing about him that is kind of annoying is that, like, if you're just, I mean, I guess this is more of an issue, I think, for like a kid holding on to it than like like an adult collector, but the tail does have a tendency to kind of pop off. It stays well enough on there when it's actually on there, but it is a part that is kind of easy to lose. So I've definitely, lost the tail throughout times and then ended up finding it like years later. So that can be a bit annoying, but otherwise I really like him. I don't really have any issues with like really much about this figure. Obviously it would be nice if his head had some sort of articulation. It would be nice if he had some sort of like more real hands, I guess, and then thigh and bicep swivels would be nice. But otherwise, I don't know. He's a pretty decent little figure. Definitely weird, but I like him. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Cybertron Scout Class Undermine.